Hey, what's up everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so we're preparing for the Lakers and the Warriors, and we have no idea how to do so. I don't know. First of all, let's start with the fact that the Lakers have 5 new players on the team, one of which won't be playing tonight because he's still suspended, Mo Bamba. But we welcome those guys: Devon Reed, D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley. Reinforcements that are going to be coming in, replacing some guys that we really appreciate but understood had to move on. Thomas Bryant, Juan Toscano Anderson, Patrick Beverly, Russell Westbrook. And there's one more person I'm missing that did get shipped out. Yes. What was it? My man's name? Our center, who never played. So his name will come to me in a minute, but that's what it is, man. We got some new players coming in, and we're going to be doing great. At this point, what our focus is at this point is to put ourselves in a position to establish these new players, as well as understand the urgency of winning these basketball games regardless of our continuity disadvantages. We have to start winning, man. It don't matter who's on the floor. I don't care if it's me, you, it could be grandma. Everybody who puts on a uniform tonight needs to be able to win if they're wearing purple and gold, because we can't lose too many more games and expect to make the playoffs. Now, yes, we are only a few games away from 4th place and all that good madness, but that is simply because there is no space between those teams, which means if you're at the bottom of it, say 2 games below somebody else, that's the difference between missing the playoffs and making it. So you need some space, and you need that space to come in the form of wins upwards. That's what the Lakers need. We need to go on a nice 5, 6, 7 game winning streak at some point in this season to solidify our situation. And I don't know that this scheme's going to do that without establishing continuity. And that's why I'm a bit frustrated at the fact that Mo Bamba isn't going to be coming in, because it's not about him missing 2 games. It's about him missing 2 games and then us trying to reincorporate him back in, and what that truly means for continuity. And then LeBron James has missed the last game against the Milwaukee Bucks, where we ran about 9 players. A couple of them shot very well, you know. We had some good things, but ultimately Anthony Davis got in some forced foul trouble, I call it. I thought the referees removed him from the game and left us without any chance to defeat Giannis. He dropped 38 on our heads. Drew Holiday went for 22, 7 and 7. Middleton for 22 as well. And that was the end of it. So we weren't too upset about that, because we knew we didn't have our full team. Guys ran hard. Dennis Schroeder had a big game. I think he went for like 23 and 12 or something like that. AD's numbers weren't good, but we were happy he was healthy. Got out of there healthy. That's all that matters. But I do wonder if he's all good, you know, just in total, because he didn't look like he's been himself this week. But like I said, we got some reinforcements, and he should be excited about those reinforcements, especially the help that he's going to be getting in that front court with Vanderbilt and Bamba coming in. 2 big-time defensive players that can help us with the things that AD does. Him and Vanderbilt, Wynja and Gabriel. It's going to be an absolute nightmare for teams that have to deal with that type of length if coach chooses to play those players. It turns out Vanderbilt and Wynja played in college together at Kentucky and know each other pretty well because of it. So that synergy right there is going to work for us. And of course, Beasley, Vanderbilt, and D'Lo all played in in Minnesota together. And of course, Vanderbilt and Beasley came from Utah just now. So Vanderbilt and Beasley been traded together the entire time, and they get a chance to pair up again in LA. So the synergy possibilities are really, really good. And we still got the Washington synergy here with Troy Brown. And, well, the 2 of those Washington dudes is gone now, but you know, Troy Brown is in this situation, and Rui Hachimura. So that synergy is there. And, you know, we're excited about what we got going on, man. But we don't really know what we have going on, so we're going to learn more than try to establish any understanding. And the Warriors, their situation is similar. And that's what made this kind of a, you know, this game is all over the place as it pertains to how do you prepare. Because the Warriors have 2 simultaneous things going on that would make it so that looking back at their situations prior to, like maybe 3 or 4 games ago, isn't going to really help you tonight. So like 2 games ago or 3 games ago, unfortunately, Steph Curry went down with a leg injury. So that right there is going to remove a third of what they do, obviously, and the biggest piece. So looking back on anything that happened in regards to the numbers or preparation, it's kind of scared by the fact that that is the case. And then you look at the fact that they made a trade, and that trade was to make it so that they got GP2 back in position from the Portland Trailblazers, sending James Wiseman out and to the Pistons. And then from there was some other things that went on. Saddiq Bey went to Atlanta, and something else went somewhere else. I don't quite remember the full framework of that trade, but what I can tell you is it has since been in jeopardy. I don't know if it's been rescinded. And the understanding that I have is that the Portland Trailblazers may not have been on the up and up about, may not have been. No one's certain because the investigation is taking place as we speak. But more or less, it seems that they may have been allowing GP2 to play injured, allowing him to have injections in order to do so, and then traded him to the Warriors without allowing them that understanding. So my question is, wasn't he healing from the injury that the Warriors, he got hurt with from the Warriors? I mean, he went into the offseason hurt. And so he's been coming back from injury the whole time. So to me, it's like, why would they need to disclose to the Warriors that he's got a injury in this way when the injury that he's suffering from is the injury that he suffered as a Warrior? So that's the thing that kind of is a little sketchy to me. But as it's being worded, the Warriors are like absolutely appalled that GP2 is injured. And I'm thinking, well, has he had time to even heal from the injury that he had? Like, no. So why wouldn't he be injured? He just came back from it like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, so apparently he shouldn't have came back from it. Obviously, they rushed him back so that they can get him on the floor so that they can basically trade him back to the Warriors. And my thing is, if you know that there's some information you got to report to the Warriors, you should probably just cover your backside so you don't have anything like this happen, so people can't, you know what I mean, call you anything funny. And now it looks like the Blazers are going to have to face some possible reprimands. And I say that with a question mark because we'll find out if they're guilty of anything. But it's looking terrible, and I mean absolutely terrible for the Blazers right now. And if I'm Detroit, the one who's the one who's unloading Saddiq Bey's contract, and I'm Atlanta, the one who's inheriting Saddiq Bey's contract, I have more of a serious gripe with this trade being rescinded than maybe the Warriors would. Even though the situation is about GP2, that contract there, you can't play around with that. That's too much salary moving around to rescind over a situation with GPT when his GP2, when his contract ain't even half as expensive as Saddiq's contract. So that's when it becomes a situation where if I'm Atlanta and Detroit, I want something from the Blazers. They're going to have to make that right. Forget the Warriors. Make it right with me. So that's a whole nother conversation that I'm sure the investigation will unfold and they'll start being one of those big old scandals we'll talk about for a week and then it'll fade away. So be prepared for it. That's on the way. But yeah, Portland looking crazy right now. And the Warriors, because of it, don't have GP2, don't have James Wiseman, and don't have Steph Curry. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like the team that they're running out there isn't the team that you expect that you would have otherwise studied 2 games ago, you know. But I can tell you, when Steph Curry went down, they did have a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder where they dropped 141 points. The score was 141 to 114, and Klay Thompson went for 12 three-point shots. Jordan Poole went for 5 of them, had 12 assists as well. And Dante DiVincenzo, oh no, that was the next game. Sorry, I was about to tell y'all something that didn't happen in this game, but yeah, Dante's playing ball in that one as well. He balled out dramatically. And then, of course, there was a game after that they had just now before they traded for GP2 where they played against, guess who? The Blazers in GP2, where he was running around on the floor just fine against them, injected likely to do so. And, you know, they traded for him the very next game, the very next day, and now he can't play. He's supposed to be out for a month. So it's like, we just laid eyes on him. You're telling me that you injected him with something that allowed him to play and you traded him to us after that? Like, no. And the sick thing about it is the Warriors did lay eyes on him. So you made the trade for the guy. If he didn't look right, you should have been asking questions prior to. And when I read a comment in one on the IG page where they were essentially announcing that something like this had taken place, I don't remember whose the forum, but one of the fans was essentially saying, I watched that game. GP2 didn't look right. He looked despondent. He didn't even look like himself. And this was a Warrior fan saying that. I'm like, you know what? That's one of those situations where, the investigation will let us know what's really going on there. But if you're looking at it as a fan of the Warriors, you probably want Wiseman back. But the problem is that's going to cost the owner money that they're trying to shave, which is the understanding that I have. So that doesn't necessarily help the fans. But those picks should probably come back. And maybe some more stuff, to be honest with you, if this is as bad as it looks. So I don't know. GP2 looks like he's going to have to miss some real time. And, of course, they traded for him to be a win-now player. It's the Golden State Warriors we're talking about. They didn't bring nobody in that's going to be missing a month, especially within the situation they're in. Not too much different than ours. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to get ugly fast. And I'm pretty sure we'll hear more about it throughout the day. But for the time being, that's about as much as I know. In the meantime, we got a game against those guys. And I think you can expect to see a whole lot from them. Now, let's double back to that Portland game because I did mention Dante DiVincenzo. He slammed the dunk on somebody. I don't know who it was he dunked on, but it was one of them better dunks that you will see. He was 5 for 10 from the field, and I think he had about 7 assists. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this dude. Since Steph has been out, he stepped up. And I'm not surprised because I told you guys earlier in the season that I thought DiVincenzo was going to have a really nice tenure with the Golden State Warriors, and that's exactly what he's having. Shooting the ball very well, and ultimately just coming off their bench and doing a lot of things for them in that guard rotation. We got to deal with Andrew Wiggins as well. He's been back from injury for about 2 weeks or so, another player that's kind of threw some things in rotation for them a little differently. But he's starting to get his legs underneath him now after being back. So we got to be aware that he's going to be down there defending and, of course, slashing to the bucket and doing all the things that he does. He's a refined version of himself at this point. He's gained all the respect in the world after winning a championship and having a very significant part and role in that, as well as, of course, starting the All-Star game. And, we look at Andrew Wiggins as a legitimate star player at this point who has NBA championship cachet and needs to be guarded and respected on the defensive end. So that's a real piece, and we understand that we got our hands full tonight. And, of course, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's game is so refined right now. He's playing some of the best basketball. As I mentioned, he had 12 assists against OKC. Just playing beautifully, shooting the ball unbelievably well. And the game they had against Portland was really tight, but they ultimately lost that game. You just got to give credit to the fact that they have so many new pieces in that Portland Trailblazer team that ultimately complement Dame Lillard and allow for them to be a really full team. So if you ain't got Steph Curry going into Portland, it's going to be tough. But they played a very close game. And, you can see the youth on both sides really stand out. So at this point, no one on our team is older than LeBron James, of course, at 34 years of age. But after that, 38 years of age, of course, my age. But after that, you have guys that are really 27 years of age and younger. A brand new squad. And so guys are going to have new roles, new responsibilities, obviously, with the new players coming in. We don't expect to see really anything. Really, it's no way of knowing exactly what the tendencies of a team like this will be. Maybe they take care of the ball. Maybe they turn it over a lot. I would imagine we're going to be a good rebounding team with guys like Vanderbilt and AD on the floor. Let's see. Troy Brown had 34 minutes in the last game. So I'd like to think that he's going to continue to get minutes, even though, was that 39 minutes? He played the most minutes of the team, but whatever the case. I'd like to think he's going to get more minutes because I do think he complements the whatever role we're going to have him in on both sides of the floor. And I just really like how he's been hitting the glass lately. So I still want to see him in heavy rotation. And, of course, I think Wenyen Gabriel, now that Vanderbilt's here, it's going to be hard to see Wenyen Gabriel get as many minutes. But because they are friends, I would think it would make sense to try to use them in the same rotations at center and power forward when AD and Bron are sitting down and try to see if we can get some synergy out of those guys because I know that they will help us, particularly defensively. And, of course, with Wenyen, he really does help on the offensive side as well. So I think we should try to experiment with rotations with those players in it, along with Troy Brown, Max Christie, and maybe Dennis Schroeder or D'Angelo Russell or something like that, because what I want to see is how they do defensively. That seems like a pretty deadly rotation that doesn't have anything to do with Bron and AD. That could pretty much run the score up or rather shut people down and do some things on both sides. So I'm curious to see what type of rotation possibilities will be there. Obviously, without Mo, we really can't simulate everything we're going to do. And he's such an important piece because of how he moves and how his game is. So with him replacing Thomas Bryant, I think the question that I have for this unit, with the exception of Vanderbilt, of whom I will never have this question about, I don't believe, but who all plays hard here? You know, I know we have a guy by the name of Devon Reed who's going to be in here as well. We welcome him as well. A defensive player, from what I understand, who's going to get some rotational minutes. He had a highlight against LeBron James where he stole the ball from him against us, obviously. And we just want to see more of that from him. He has long arms, and he really, really seems to play very smart. Looks to, do what he needs to do on the offensive end in terms of deferring to who he needs to defer to in the highlights that I saw, making good passes. And I'm just curious to see what type of role he can have and what type of upside he provides, and if he can make a name for himself. Obviously, he's a Laker now, so nobody knows who he is today. But believe you me, you play a couple of games in this uniform, people will know who you are after that. So this is the end of him not being famous. I can tell you that. Devon Reed. Now that we know his name, let's see what he can do. At this point, I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. I know Vanderbilt is a player that you guys have heard me talk about for 2 years now. I had no idea we had a chance at getting him. He's just one of my favorite players just in general. But now that he's here, I'm really looking forward to seeing up close what it is that he does, rebounding the ball, blocking shots, and just ultimately helping us on the offensive glass, things of that nature. I always say players that complement AD and Bron, guys who can be young wing defenders that can guard the perimeter, switch out to everybody, go all the way out to 50 feet if he has to, and guard people and get in the paint and hold his own if necessary. I don't expect him to try to guard people like Joel Embiid or Jokic. He's not that big of a person. But what he can do is help weak side off of AD, help weak side off of Bron, help weak side off of anybody on the floor, Winyan, and Bamba. These are the type of things that I know he can provide help with throughout probably 30 to 40 minutes a night if we give him those minutes. And from what I understand, as I read and learn more about his upside on the offensive end, there are people, many people, who believe his upside is Pascal Siakam. And with Phil Handy, who also coached Pascal Siakam, can kind of help him with his handle, kind of help him become a little more wiggly on the offensive end, choose good shots and what have you, refine his game and can reach his potential. I think we could very easily see ourselves picking up a player here at a extreme and absurd discount, and ultimately maybe even have a great Laker having made this acquisition. So that's special to me. And then I look at Beasley and Russell. I put them together because they are designated shooters, man. And we know what D'Angelo's about, ice in his veins. He's going to win us a game before the end of the season. I'm telling y'all, it's going to happen. Bron is going to find him and he's going to hit the shot. And it's one of those things where we already know, because the last thing we saw him do before he was traded was hit a last-second shot, where he was celebrating the life of his grandmother who had passed very recently at that point. And we knew that player could play. We also knew we had some issues there, but it wasn't necessarily anything on the court that was really hurting him. It was more so some stuff that had happened that we would like to long forget about. And I think he's like to long forget about, but unfortunately, returning back to this place is going to strum up all those bad energies. But I can tell you this, he's come here with a different mindset. He's come here as a man. He's come here as an all-star. He's come here as somebody who's made some playoff appearances. He comes here as one of the best shooters in basketball. And I think he's going to be ready to show us that he's grown up some. And I think he's going to look to continue to grow up further from here. This is a place where he can exercise some demons. And it didn't go well for the last guy who tried to fill that position at the point guard spot. But he's worn this uniform before next to the very best, and Kobe Bryant, of whom he said everything he thinks about in regards to this tenure was about Kobe. And I tell you, when we look back on it, there were some good moments that he and Kobe shared, game winners, situations that went well. And I think that D'Angelo Russell can have the same type of energy as he plays against one of his old teams, the Golden State Warriors, tonight. So I'm excited about this, man. I'm excited about him coming back and displaying what it is that he can do in an offense next to LeBron James that I think he was always built for. I honestly said from the day one that the player that he needed to most play with was Bron. I said that on draft night. I was like, this is a player that's meant to play with LeBron James, because when LeBron James looks to find players all over the court that he can dart the ball to in corners, all up and down the perimeter, D'Angelo Russell can basically hit any shot around that perimeter consistently. And if he gets hot, it doesn't have to stop at all. This guy was once a welcomed splash brother, so to speak, a honorary splash brother for a season or two, and he fit in just fine. So he knows their system. He knows what they need to be, how they need to be played against. And with Steph Curry not on the floor, I expect D'Angelo Russell to help even up the score in regards to some of that three-point shooting that we're going to see from Klay, Jordan Poole, and the others. So I'm excited about him. And, of course, Malik Beasley is a guy who I've been following a little bit, but not as much. Minnesota, he's had some good times. Utah, he's had some good times as well. Malik Beasley is somebody who I know can shoot the ball. I believe he played for the Denver Nuggets too, but don't quote me on that. But I know for a fact he can come in and strike it hot real fast. And he's somebody who's also the same age as D'Angelo, with upside even still. 26 years of age, both of them are ready to shoot the ball for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think they're ready to hit open shots that LeBron James going to find them and take some of that gravity that D'Lo was referring to, that AD and Bron tend to pull away from the shooters when they're on the floor. I think he's also going to enjoy the gravity that guys like Rui Hachimura are going to pull away too. Because he's going to have a lot of open shooters, because we got guys who can slash like Lonnie Walker, Austin Reeves, who are going to find him. Guys he can find as well who are going to be smart. I think D'Lo and Austin are going to have good synergy on the offensive end, because at the end of the day, Austin is a playmaker and a shot maker. And D'Lo is a sniper and a playmaker as well. And they both have defensive intangibles as well. So when you put them on the floor with the right rotational players, Bron and AD can have nice long breaks, and we're going to have nice long leads, because we're going to be playing on both sides of the floor. Now, we do have some players that are a bit one-dimensional in some ways. We don't expect Vanderbilt to be very good offensively right away, but I don't think it matters, because his most basic tool for us is to complement the bigs and ultimately do the things on the defensive side and the rebounding side that get them the ball. I would expect that his assists are going to go up, that he's going to defer to those guys a lot of the time, make good passes to try to get them involved. And when it's time for him to catch the ball, he can catch it above the rim. He can get out in the open court, and he's pretty fast. So I like it. Like I said, he's going to be working with Phil Handy, tightening up his handle. As I said, most of our guys need to continue to work on that. Troy Brown and Rui Hachimura, I want to see especially work on that. Also Austin Reeves. And we want to continue to get better. You know, I've enjoyed every bit of what I've seen from Dennis Schroeder this season. You know, even though he's been in some small ball lineups, we had some rough times here and there where I call it DSBS. But when you look at the fullness of what we've done, when he's been in good lineups and when the stars have been away, he's really stepped up big. And we've had some big moments with him as well. So I like him in this rotation. I don't know where he slots in now that D'Lo is here, but he's played some good ball on both sides of the floor. And I look forward to seeing Dennis Schroeder continue to do what he does for us. We're one of the deepest teams right now. You look at Lonnie Walker down there. You even look at some of the younger guys like Cole Swider and Scottie Pippen. You know, I love this team. I love what we've done here. You know, Rob Pelinka has done a fantastic job. It seems to me that the cuffs has been taken off of them. Some of the more controversial moves that we would otherwise go for, we just didn't kind of make that move. Instead, we decided to go with the more traditional route, and I think we have a more balanced, fuller team. So now it's about synergy. How do we get these guys to buy into what it is that Darvin's selling, especially when Darvin has been the reason where a lot of this stuff hasn't gone right? As we said, we were going to make a trade to get the pieces necessary, but then we were going to turn to the coach and say, can you use them properly? Is the Knights of the Round Table behind you in regards to how we use these rotations? Or are you going to be the guy who's putting these guys on the floor this time? We weren't certain, because we've been seeing small ball for years, and it's time for it to end. And to me, it seems like the organization has made the decision to step away from that, having traded away most of those small ball players, leaving us with only Dennis Schroeder at that size. So at this point, I'm excited about never seeing small ball in purple and gold ever again, unless it makes absolute sense. And in most cases, it does not. Welcome to the Kobe Minute. Of course, we want to salute Kobe Bryant. You know, we've had a lot of situations where Kobe was bringing in new teammates midway through the season. I remember when we traded for a guy like Pau Gasol midway through the season after a big injury to our guy. Andrew Bynum. And that situation led us to an NBA Finals right away. And then from there, we brought that team back and made several more great moments in the finals as well. I don't know if this is that type of situation, but I do know that we have that type of talent right now on this roster. Maybe it hasn't been fully realized because some of these guys have to fully develop. But if you ask me, if we get the most out of all of the guys we just picked up and the guys who are still remaining, we are definitely a team that AD and Bron should be able to lead to the promised land. And I'm not saying they're going to be able to do that this year because it's just too soon to have those type of expectations, even though we have them anyway. It's just too soon to say that it's that reasonable to say we're going to destroy the field when there are several teams in this situation that didn't make many changes and have carried over from past years. But at the end of the day, we got the pieces necessary to make Bron feel like he's going to be able to compete as a Laker. We got the pieces in place that can help him see assists come their way from him and see those shots fall. We got players who can help him defend so he doesn't have to guard the best players or the biggest players anymore or have to be forced to play center. We got shooters all over the roster at center position, power forward position, shooting guard position, small forward position, and the point guard position. There's no reason to think that this team should be deficient in the ways necessary to help him win. Anthony Davis, well, as long as he's healthy and fully engaged and focused and believing in himself to be the best player he can be, then he's probably one of the top players in this league. But if he doesn't, if he's going to sulk like he did against OKC, or if he's going to play like he did in this past game, we're not going to have much success because at the end of the day, he's going to be considered the anchor of what it is we do. Even now, after making those trades, everything in regards to Larry O'Brien still is leaning upon his health, his focus on both sides of the floor. So that's what it is. That's what we're expecting to see. Obviously, we're going up against the champs, so we don't take nothing lightly. But they don't have their full team. They're running some guys that they'd rather not lean on at this point. They're in a bit of disarray with all the stuff that's going on surrounding their team, including the stuff that happened earlier in the season with Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. And don't forget, Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, of whom they started in the last game and combined for about 10 points, 8 points, something like that. But that's not their game, and we know that. They come to play defense. They come to make sure that they solidify the culture of the Warriors and protect home court for which we're going into tonight. And their job, particularly Draymond's, is to help facilitate the basketball, help Jordan Poole facilitate the basketball, help Klay Thompson get buckets, help DiVincenzo facilitate the basketball, and ultimately help the entire team defensively. Andrew Wiggins going to be shooting and slashing all over the place. But we have to understand, if we don't guard the perimeter, we ain't got a chance against this squad. They got guys on their bench who can go hard. But at the end of the day, they're just running really, really short on guys. But not on youth. Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a player they lean on tonight. Do not be surprised if he pops tonight comfortably at home. He's going to get minutes, and it's going to be an opportunity for him to do a lot of things. I expect Vanderbilt to step up, meet him at the rim, challenge him, because that's going to be his challenge tonight, is to keep up with those bigs that we've referred to in Looney, Green, and of course, Kuminga. The athleticism of Kuminga and the speed of Kuminga, the potential with his ball handling. I know he hasn't had massive games this season, but at any moment, Kuminga can step into his own and use his athleticism to take teams down. He doesn't have the type of confidence yet, so I've seen, but it's coming. Just wait on it. And a guy by the name of Moses Moody, who hasn't had a whole lot of success with the Golden State Warriors to my eyesight. It's just been a little bit of a rough season for him. I felt like maybe they should have played him a little more last year to allow for him to have a little more comfort in the system this year. And of course, I say the same thing about several of our guys, including Max Christie, of whom I want the same for. But all in all, when I look at the situation, I know a guy like Moses Moody would probably like to play well against a team like the Lakers, of whom he probably has his eyesight on becoming a Laker someday, given the fact that he can't seem to get out of the rotation over there to get enough minutes to do what it is that he does. I look at a guy like Patrick Baldwin, the fourth, of whom is also behind that plethora of shooters that they have in Golden State, of whom I know if they call his number, can shoot us down. secretly one of the best shooters in basketball. So the Golden State Warriors have plenty of talent, man. They're acting like they don't in some cases, but I know they're deeper than they've shown. They just haven't yet to develop most of those guys to their best selves. In fact, some of those guys are poorly underdeveloped because of the way that they've leaned on some of their older guys to keep going. It's unfortunate, but it's just the nature of their circumstance, given the fact that they haven't necessarily seen father time with some of those guys. But all in all, I can tell you this. Klay Thompson is somebody who, even though he's a bit older, just 2 games ago had 12 three-point shots that he dropped on a very young team that we happened to lose to within that same 3-day span. So I tell you, if we're not going to take this team seriously, regardless of whether or not we have reinforcements, we're going to go down, man. So that's really what it comes down to. I want to see the Lakers match up with the Golden State Warriors to the best of their ability. I don't expect too much continuity because we're new. I want to see guys like Austin Reeves play well tonight. Schroeder, Thomas Bryant is gone, but Troy Brown is who we're talking about. Thomas Bryant is now a Nugget. But this is one of those situations where we're super excited. You know, our team is going to be going up against the champs on demand, but they still have Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson. That means they're going to be shooting like crazy and more than capable of beating just about anybody because of it. Andrew Wiggins included. Looney doesn't miss games. These are the type of things that you can just count on in regards to the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately, their defense has been very subpar lately. Losing to the Portland Trail Blazers, you would think they would never lose to a team that otherwise they've beaten a lot of the times. But when you don't have Steph Curry, it's just not going to be the same thing for you. I know they were expecting to have GP2 tonight, having traded for him with all the Laker guys coming in. It must suck for their fans, but at the end of the day, they still have the championship in their hands. They were the last team to have that Larry O, and they did it through some adverse circumstances. So we understand this team is to be taken seriously, whether Steph's on the floor or not. At the end of the day, Steve Kerr has plenty of championships, both as a player and a coach. And honestly, I don't think he's done winning anything. I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised if the Golden State Warriors win it this year. But I know it's going to be a difficult road if they're going to do that, because they got to get past a lot of the Western Conference, including us. We're standing in front of them tonight. We're coming into their building, not necessarily knowing who we are, but knowing that if we reach our potential, we can beat anybody. So that's what I hope to see, man. I just look at this team and understand that analyzing what they've just done and what we've just done really doesn't hold much weight when you're bringing in new pieces. And a lot of what it is that you leaned on is now gone. Patrick Beverley getting 30-plus minutes a game in certain situations. Now what is Darvin going to do without these guys? Russell Westbrook coming in, throwing the ball away sometimes, also hitting big shots and giving you big assists and rebounds other games. The inconsistency. In the last game, we didn't even realize how much it would be a relief to not have certain things take place on the basketball floor in regards to size not being at a disadvantage or players not throwing possessions away just simply because it's in their nature to do so. We had grown accustomed to those things, and they had gone away. It was like a relief for all of us as Laker Nation. And although our team is relieved, I don't believe that it's fair to call any of our players, both former, current, or otherwise, vampires. I can't condone that, and I wish Russell Westbrook well, and I hope that we can change the culture that allows for any entities to bully players or otherwise put them in a position to where their wives have to call out against that energy. I wish not to promote that energy, and if I have in any way, I won't make it right. But for now, we salute all the Lakers that have taken off, all of those guys. We appreciate them. Damian Jones was the guy I had forgotten. Salute. We appreciate all our Lakers, especially the ones who put on their uniform more than one. And D'Angelo Russell, welcome back, brother. We knew we shouldn't have traded you. You weren't a perfect player, may not have been a perfect kid, but to have been given up on, well, that was our mistake. But I think we made it right, at least for the short term, at least for 6 months. I don't know if we can give you your bag, but we can sure give you your shots right now. And if you shoot them and hit them, you may be even able to give us a shot at the title. Yourself at a shot at the title. This ain't no joke. We're playing for something. You know what it is. We need you to help the other guys learn what it is. They're going to be proud to put on a Laker uniform. And, you know, I was looking at the body language of a guy like Malik Beasley. I saw strain. I don't know if it was physical. I don't know if it's emotional or what have you. But he's on the Lakers now, and I know a lot of strain can come from being a Laker. We've seen how hard it can be being a Laker. We see how hard it can be being traded, not knowing what's going on. We've been in situations where players have had to leave us because they haven't gotten their minutes in Thomas Bryant. We understand. And so we just ask everybody to be patient with us, as we're going to ask them to be, you know, that we, of course, be patient with them. As they're all new players coming from different spaces, not really used to this bright lights, purple and gold Lakers. But everybody who puts it on, well, maybe not everyone, but most people put it on, understand the importance of what it is. And when they do put it on, they feel like home. They gain the understanding that these purple and gold lights ain't meant to harm them, but we're rooting for them to succeed. And everybody who's ever put it on has succeeded in some way. Because if you look up at them banners, we done run a lot. So that's what we hope to do one day with this unit right here. We've mortgaged picks and everything else to put ourselves in a position to have a young team surrounding LeBron James. And that's all I've been asking for the last 2 years from Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss. And I feel like I've been listened to. So I hope I was right. I hope what it is that we see and vision in having young teams and young talent with shooters surrounding LeBron James and Anthony Davis with depth and power forwards and length to block shots and rebound is enough to get these guys back over the hump once again like in 2020, so they can stop calling us bubble championship, Disney championships or whatever. We're a serious bunch. We got two of the greatest players to ever play the game. And we got a bunch of role players that are under 27 who are eager to win and eager to show that they are talented as heck. So that's what I want to see, man. That's all it's about. We ain't asking these guys to go out and win a championship tonight. We just go out, we ask them to go out there and put on purple and gold and be optimistic that this can go very well for you. If you work hard, play hard, and ultimately remember that winning is the most important thing. So that's what I got to say, man. Purple and gold, stand up. It's been a long couple of years with this small ball garbage, but it is over. We're not old, we're not small, but we are Lakers, and we're ready to win. So let's go out there against Golden State and beat the heck out of them. Show them that we're ready for whatever the West is bringing us. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.